Hey everybody, this is Seb from the Dual Bros channel, and this is part of Dragonmaid, and we are here because Battles of Legend Monster Mayhem is on the horizon, and it's been confirmed to contain 2 new support cards for my favourite deck of all time. So I thought I might as well make a video giving some tips and tricks on how to play this wonderful archetype. But before we begin talking about support, let's just quickly go over the 2 new Dragonmaids that are going to appear in the Monster Mayhem set. Yeah, I am using the OCG versions as you can see, and that's because I'm not sponsored by Konami, so I don't have access to the TCG versions just yet. But anyways, let's get into it with this fusion monster, Lady's Dragonmaid. Now this is no ordinary fusion. It is in fact a contact fusion that you'll summon by having a Dragonmaid on the field and a Dragonmaid with the same attribute but a different level in the graveyard. It doesn't matter which way you do it, like the dragon form could be on the field and the human form in the graveyard or vice versa. But the important thing is, once these are here, you can then banish them to special summon her out. This is insanely easy to do, and it's thanks to this that the Dragonmaid deck is able to be run pure, because like in the past you'd have to supplement it with another dragon archetype, but nope. Now the maids can finally take center stage, and I love this. Lady's Dragonmaid will turn your signature spell card, Dragonmaid Hospitality, into a 2-card combo, since it special summons a maid from the hand or graveyard, and then will send the maid's counterparts to the graveyard. So if you pair it up with any main deck monster, you could just instantly get out Lady's Dragonmaid. And speaking of main deck monsters, Lady's Dragonmaid also turns these 3 in particular into 1-card combos, since as soon as you have them, you can immediately summon out your ladies. Parlor Dragonmaid just sends to the graveyard, so send your dragon form, and boom, ladies. Kitchen adds to hand and sends, so yeah, basically the same thing, add her dragon form and send it to the graveyard. And with Chamber, it's a bit more roundabout, because she searches spells and traps. So you'll use her to get Dragonmaid Hospitality. And then you're going to link her off into a Link 1 monster you can summon. I'm using the Striker Dragon, as you can see. But the Spirit with Eyes of Blue also works just fine. And it's probably cheaper right now, because it came in a structure deck. But yeah, Link 1 monster is on the field, but the monster isn't important. The important thing is that Chamber is now in the graveyard. So you can play your Hospitality to summon back Chamber and send her new dragon form to the graveyard. Either way, she's here. But what does this card actually do? Well, for starters, when it's special summoned, that's right, just straight up special summoned in any way. So yeah, this spell card is getting a lot more value, let's just say. Special summon her, and you can summon another maid from your deck. And since all the maids have effects when they're summoned, this is just combos galore. But most importantly of all, Lady's Dragonmaid does have a similarity with the other 2 Dragonmaid fusions, in the sense that it has an ability that activates every single standby phase. And that being, you can fusion summon by shuffling cards from your banish pile or field into the deck as the materials, which is actually insane for so many reasons. For starters, the materials you banish to get out your Lady's Dragonmaid are the exact same materials needed to fusion summon this deck's boss monster Dragonmaid Yugioh, who is not only an Omni Negate, but special summons a maid from your hand or graveyard during the standby phase. So every standby phase, you'll get 1 Omni Negate and even more combo extending. Like you can even summon one of the human form maids and then use her effect again during your opponent's turn. And yep, since this is fusion summoning on your opponent's turn, you can also pull off some shenanigans with Chaos Star Source Dragon, who destroys cards on the field when he's summoned, and can easily be gotten out with the Dragonmaid deck, since he just needs an unspecified Dark Dragon monster and an unspecified Light Dragon monster. Something the Dragonmaid deck definitely can do. We've already mentioned Chamber's Dragon form, but now it's time to go over her in a bit more detail. Dragonmaid Surmba. Unlike the other main deck dragon forms, which can protect themselves from destruction by card effects if there's a fusion monster you control, this one protects the fusion monsters themselves, so it's a lot more useful. In fact, once you get out your Yugioh thanks to Lady's effect, you can just use Yugioh's effect to summon your Surmba and then protect your big guys a little more. And as for its discarding effect, because for those of you who don't know, all the main deck dragon forms do have a discarding effect, hers is to special summon a maid from either your graveyard or your banish pile. So overall, wonderful synergy with Lady's Dragonmaid. Because this one just can do so much, I'd say unlike the other dragon forms, which I run at 1, I do like to run 3 Surmba. And then of course, if I do need to side in some specific hand traps or whatever, I can just easily trim one of the Surmbas to make room for the hand trap. Might be an unpopular opinion, but 3 of this gal goes insane. Of course, this deck leaning into banishing mechanics means it is now a target for the notorious Artifact Lancea, but I'd say it's a small price to pay for all of the awesome stuff we have now. Okay, now that we've talked about the new cards, let's move on to talking about support. I've already mentioned Chaos Star Source, and if you're a long-time viewer of this channel, you should remember that the first ever video post on here was my current Dragonmaid deck list, which is a pure Dragonmaid deck with a Light and Darkness Dragonlord engine. I'll leave the link in the description. But I'm here to talk about every single way you can play these maids and have fun winning. Let's start by talking about generic support, because this is a dragon deck, and dragon has historically been the Yu-Gi-Oh type with the best generic support, although I'd say in recent years Fiend has overtaken them with stuff like Abaraku and the Fiendsmith engine. But yeah, tons of stuff to get into. I mean, you might be tempted to run stuff like Dragon Ravine and the World Legacy Guard Dragon, but I'd actually say don't do it unless you're playing like a hybrid deck with Dragonmaid and one other dragon archetype. Because if you think about it, the deck already has 2 ways to get your cards in the graveyard, and a staggering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways to get your cards back from the graveyard. So World Legacy Guard Dragon and Dragon Ravine will only really benefit you if you have non-Dragonmaid dragons that your combos are going to revolve around. Another bit of generic support that I don't run is the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. But that's more of a space reason than anything. Like, if your deck has space for him, he can synergize very well with Dragonmaids, because for starters, he does banish, so that's more possible material for your Lady's Dragonmaid to fuse with, or targets for your Surmba to get back. And also, as a level 7 or higher dragon, he does count as materials to get out your Dragonmaid Yugioh. But yeah, I personally don't use him, simply because, like I said earlier, space, and also because there are other things that fulfill his role in my combos but do it better. The beauty of there being so much generic dragon support is that it does offer you some ways to search out your 1-card combo starters, namely Parlor and Kitchen Dragonmaid. Of course, Sangan Kaiman searches you a level 3 fire dragon monster. It was originally made for Tenpais, but there's nobody stopping you from using it to search your kitchen. In fact, if you do play Dragonmaid alongside Tenpai, this does have some more usage, something I'll get into later, but even on its own, it is wonderful to have. There's a similar situation with Parlor, and the card in question is Gold Sarcophagus, because you can use this one to banish any card from your deck, including Tempest, the Dragon Ruler of Storms. And when he's banished, he does search you a Wind Dragon monster, which of course includes your Parlor. But since it's so generic, it doesn't just stop here. You can also use it to search out your Dragonmaid Lorpa should you need a material in your hand for Yugioh. And if you're playing Dragonmaids alongside an archetype that relies on the graveyard a lot, you can use it to search out your Dragoonity Remus, which you'll then discard to get your Dragon Ravine. Very versatile stuff. But I need to stress again, even if you're playing Dragonmaids pure, these techs are still very viable because of your one-card combo starters. And speaking of searchers, Bestial Magnamut is obviously a very nice card to run. I don't though for 3 reasons. 1, I hate Bestials. 2, I can't afford it. And 3, as a level 6, he doesn't quite fit the requirements to be Yugioh material, and that can kind of screw up your strategies a bit. But obviously, he is perfectly valid to run, even in a pure Dragonmaid deck, and it could be nice to experiment around with. And of course, there is one bit of generic dragon support that no dragon duelist should leave the house without. Hieratic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres. Enough said. Run this guy, no matter what. He can bounce and set up your combos. And basically every single one of your main deck human forms is a viable target for the spheres, since they have effects when they're summoned. I only run one of him main deck, not main deck, extra deck, but I do have another copy of him side deck, just in case, bouncing really disrupts my opponent. So yeah, go spheres. And then, the last generic dragon card we're going to go over is Philia Regis, the recent fusion monster from Alliance Insight. Once again, pretty generic requirements, which your deck can easily get out, and she's really overpowered. So yeah, good choice for a boss monster. She also has some pretty neat synergy with your House Dragonmaid, who will be on the field once your Yugioh uses her effect, because the cost for that is getting out House Dragonmaid, of course. House Dragonmaid can destroy monsters when something returns to the hand, and Philia Regis can resurrect herself by making a dragon return to the hand, and she can also banish an opponent's thing on the field, and then return something to the hand. So these two together is crazy for breaking boards during your opponent's turn. There is also the question of the white and black dragons, who are even better now that they're semi-limited. But I don't run those either, simply because they'll only really benefit you if you're pairing up Dragonmaids with another archetype that either synchro climbs or link climbs, and of course I'm running them pure, so that's just not for me. You could also, up it a bit, and supplement your white and black dragons with chaos stuff like Seifert and Legionnaire. But I don't do that either, of course, because I'm already running Chaos Star Source Dragon in the extra deck, and he's basically a Legionnaire that you don't have to search, so yeah. There is also the question of Fantastical Dragon Phantasme, a hand trap who is a level 7 Dark Dragon, and thus can be used as a fusion material for a lot of your boss monsters. I'd say run one copy in the side deck, purely for space reasons, and also because if your opponent isn't playing a link deck, then there's a lot better options you'd want as your high level dragon monster for your Yugioh. But remember, this isn't just a dragon deck, this is a fusion deck too. Which brings me on to the topic of my favourite board breaker, Super Polymerization. I heavily recommend running 3 of this card in your Dragonmaid deck for so many reasons. I mean, of course, there's the obvious, destroy your opponent's board and get out a Garura or a Mud Dragon. But in the context of Dragonmaids, this is just one of many options. I mean, I think you've noticed a pattern by now of there being crazy amounts of generic support for dragons. So, old friends like Chaos Star Source Dragon will also see lots of play with these Super Polymerizations. And because his effect is actually good, the board break just goes even further if your opponent happens to be playing one of the many, many dragon decks out there. And of course, there is also Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, which can serve as a boss monster thanks to its attack climbing ability, and is also incredibly easy to get out. So the Super Poly just becomes that much stronger. And let's not forget that the cost for this bad boy is a discard. And Dragonmaid is a deck that has so many graveyard effects going on. So half the time, the cost isn't even a cost. It's just the dawn of a new combo. Something I love doing when I have Super Polymerization in my hand is to normal summon the Chamber Dragonmaid and use her effect to search out a Dragonmaid Tidying that I'll use for cost. And for those of you who don't know, Dragonmaid Tidying has an effect in the graveyard. You can banish it to special summon a maid. So yeah, once again, the combos just keep on comboing, and that is why Dragonmaids are the GOAT. And there is one generic Dragon Fusion monster I haven't named yet, and that is the Borreload Furious Dragon. A card that used to be a mainstay in my extra deck, but as of last year I pushed him back to the side deck for space reasons. Yeah, there are definitely some patterns going on with your type having too much support, but the reason why he's now in the side deck is just because there's other cards that do his job better. Chaos can destroy cards on the field and is more versatile in terms of summoning conditions. And Starving Venom does the generic Dark Super Poly target thing a lot better. Of course, there are still some situations where the Furious comes in handy, which is why he's a side deck card and not completely removed from my deck. But yeah, I do prefer these two immensely. Okay, so we've discussed the new cards. We've discussed generic support. Now let's talk about the variants of this deck you can play. I will always believe that the absolute greatest, most optimal way to play Dragonmaids is pure with the Dragonlord engine, which I'll get into shortly. But before that, let's just discuss all the other ways you can maid out. I'm sure you're all sick and tired of hearing this word by now. I sure am sick and tired of saying it. But Dragonmaid can work with a wide variety of decks purely because of how generic the cards are. I mean, even putting aside the ones we've already talked about, all those fusion monsters you can easily get out, all those dragon searchers, the Dragonmaid Changeover spell can fusion any dragon monster, and the Dragonmaid Tidying card can bounce using any dragon you control as cost. So really, the only requirements for being a support archetype to the Dragonmaids is being dragon and having a small neat package that you can easily put in the deck without clogging it up. Before I ran pure, I first ran it with a Dragoonity archetype that could easily synchro climb into the Crystal Ring, and then a Dragon Link archetype which could also synchro climb and then link climb too. I mean, in that regard, 10 pies would also work, especially with the Sangan Kaiman strategy. And of course, you do get extra bonus points for decks like Blue Eyes and Red Eyes, since they contain high-level dragon monsters you can use for Shio material. Another way you could run these is, of course, as like a control deck with the Bestials and Branded Regained. Like I said earlier, I don't like the Bestials, but there's no denying they do have crazy synergy with the maids. And if you're feeling extra spicy, bear in mind there are a lot of insanely powerful hand traps which are light. Lubellions are light. Small World to make your Lubellion appear in your hand more often could be a strategy you could go for. Or maybe I'm just overthinking this, and the best way to supplement your Dragonmaids is with the Fiendsmiths. But that's boring, so please don't do that. Oh yeah, also, some more dragon decks that can synergize with the maids and give you Shio material are Dragon Rulers, and then Photon Dragon, or Galaxy, or Tachyon, or whatever you want to call it. I didn't mention these two earlier by name because I thought it was pretty obvious, but then again, I do want to make this guide as comprehensive as possible, so yeah, here they are. And now, I've waffled on enough about other strategies. It's time to talk about the single greatest way to play the Dragonmaid deck. Now, I do consider my Dragonmaid deck to be a pure Dragonmaid deck, even though it has the Dragonlord engine in it, and that's because the Dragonlord engine is absolutely tiny. Like, this is all it contains. In the main deck, 2 Light End Sublimation Dragon, 2 Dark End Evaporation Dragon, and that's it. And then in the extra deck, you have Chaos Star Source Dragon, who we've talked about enough already, and the Light and Darkness Dragon Lord, the boss of this tiny engine. 6 cards and a whole wealth of strategies. I consider this to be the best way to play because the synergy these cards have with the Dragonmaids is unparalleled. And that's saying something because, like I've said, there is a lot of cards that have synergy, but these ones are just on such a higher level that it's insane. Let's go over why. So looking at the main deck dragons, they're all level 8 dragons, so once again Shio material, who can special summon themselves by banishing a level 8 from your extra deck. And with you running 3 Ladies Dragonmaid due to her usefulness, Ladies now becomes a lot more useful since you can also use her as the cost to special summon your Dark End Evaporation Dragon or your Light End Sublimation Dragon. Let's just hope your opponent doesn't have Lancea. But yeah, easy to summon out, and each dragon has 2 effects which you can use one of each turn. Dark End can sacrifice some attack points to destroy an opponent's attack position monster, and when the Light End is attacked, it can sacrifice some life points to make the card it's battling sacrifice significantly more life points. But none of that's important, and that's because the second effect you can choose from on both of these dragons is to perform a fusion summon. Yup, that's right. Every one of these 4 bad boys is 2/3 of the equation to get out Dragonmaid Shio, or any of your fusion boss monsters for that matter. Every one of your strategies becomes so much more consistent with these guys lying around. But I know some of you are thinking, Dark End's destroy a monster effect is so much better than Light End's make the opponent's monster lose attack effect. Why are we even running this guy when this guy is just so much better? Why not 3 of him and 1 of him? And the answer lies in the boss monster, Light and Darkness Dragon Lord. An absolutely ferocious card to deal with, because if you're lucky he can get out 3 negates in a single turn. It's actually wild. But yeah, the requirements for Light and Darkness Dragon Lord is 1 level 8 Light Dragon monster and 1 level 8 Dark Dragon monster. Of course, for your level 8 Lights, you can once again use Ladies. Wow, she really did just single-handedly improve the deck, didn't she? And of course your Chaos. But also, you can have a really fun strategy which solely revolves around the Light End Sublimation Dragon. And that is because of the Dragonmaid monster Chamber Dragonmaid. You see, Chaos Star Source Dragon is also a level 8 dragon monster, so you can special summon your Light End by banishing the Chaos. And when Chaos is banished, it can turn a Dark Dragon monster you control into a level 8, meaning that if you summon it with this cost, you can turn your Chamber Dragonmaid into a level 8, activate the Light End's fusion effect, and get out your Dragon Lord a lot easier than you'd be able to. I mean, Chamber Dragonmaid is just so easy to get out. You can normal summon it because it's level 4, and also around half of your deck is just built around summoning more maids. Like, you'll pretty much always have one of these on the field. So if you draw into your Light End, bam! Automatic Dragon Lord. 3 negates, watch the opponent rage quit. So yeah, that's why it's 2 Light End for the attribute, and then 2 Dark End for the better effect. There's also one more card that the Dragon Lord engine greatly improves, and that's of course Philia Regis. Regis has some pretty complex summoning conditions, with it requiring a Dragon Fusion monster plus a level 5 or higher Dragon monster. So you'd assume that you'd have to sacrifice one of your boss monsters to get her out. But thanks to these guys, nope. Because, of course, the summoning cost banishes a fusion monster, and the Ladies Dragonmaids confuse using banished cards. So something I love doing is, of course, banish one Ladies to get out your main deck dragon. Get out another Ladies, because like I said, these gals are super easy to get out. Wait till the next standby phase. Fuse using the level 5 or higher dragon you banished to get out the Ladies, plus the Ladies you banished to get out your dragon. And bam! It's Philia Regis time. I will say though, unless you really need to banish something, or you already have Shio out on the field, don't use your Ladies effect to get out Philia Regis unless you already have on the field a Dragonmaid Shio. Because one Omni Negate plus one combo in your opponent's standby phase is a lot more versatile than one banish. So yeah, that's it for this Dragonmaid masterclass. I hope you enjoyed, I hope I didn't waffle too much, and I'll see you all next time for the next video. Make sure to like and subscribe. See ya!